Today we're talking the 2024 F150. Hey guys, hello, we keep it dirty off-road, and in today's video we're going to talk about all the changes that came out with the 2024 F150 announcement from Ford, and we're going to put a big emphasis on the Raptor because we know that's what you guys care about here, but we are going to cover the highlights from that event and all the changes and everything that came up. First, we're going to identify what Ford now has made standard on all the trucks. Second, what's all the new features that are introduced with the trucks, what features are gone, and then finally my thoughts on this. Let's get into it. So the focus of this event was twofold. One was simplification of manufacturing. Ford wants to simplify the manufacturing process, and they made a lot of features standard in order to do that. Second focus was hybrids. Ford currently dominates the truck hybrid market, owning over 70% market share, and they want to grow that share. Currently, about 10% of their trucks are hybrids. They actually want to grow that and to double and do 20% of their trucks as hybrids. So you'll see that almost every single version of the truck can get a hybrid version with the exception of the Raptor. Let's talk about what is now standard on the trucks in Ford's effort to simplify the manufacturing process. The biggest news is the headlights. All the headlights and taillights are now going to be LED. Now there's two options when it comes to the lights. You're either going to get a reflector version of the LEDs or you're going to get a projector version of the LEDs, depending on the model and depending on the features. Gone are the halogens. Next, they also made the 12-inch display with the digital dash standard. It's across the whole line, and Ford's explanation was that it was the most popular feature, so rather than have another option for the analog gauges or the smaller screen, they just simplified it and made the large screen standard on all the lines. So even if you get an XTX, you will get the 12-inch display, which is pretty cool. One bit of news that's surprising is all the trucks now will have the 36-gallon tank as standard. Previously, the gas tank was a 26-gallon, and for those that ever off-roaded with the scab versions of the Raptors, you know that tank is tiny and it severely reduces your range off-road. So it's great to see the 36-gallon tank is now standard across all F-150s. The only exception are the Power Boost trucks. The hybrid trucks, they get a 30-gallon tank, so they still get a bump. Now I'm assuming they're doing that so that they all have similar ranges, but the big tank is here and it's definitely good news. The only drawback is, of course, that's going to be expensive to fill up. Currently, right now, with gas prices here in Southern California, almost approaching $6 a gallon, that's close to $200 to fill up a 36-gallon tank. When this baby only gets 8 miles per gallon, that hurts. Now, let's talk about what's new, and the big news was the split tailgate. Ford created a new split tailgate where just down the middle of the tailgate can pop open, kind of swing out, so that it makes it easier to access. For somebody that's short like me, I love this feature because it makes it easier to reach into the bed. Having that extra 2 feet in front of you of the bed to get anything in the back sucks. I wish they would have done it more like the Ridgeline. The Ridgeline has a full-length tailgate that you can flip down or flip to the side, so you can access any part of the back. Ford only did the center, and I think they did it because of towing and all that stuff, so you could still access the back of the bed and all that stuff when towing. I don't know what the reasoning was, but it's kind of cool to see it. It's a cool little option, especially for us vertically challenged folks. The only drawback is the step. Ford has always had probably one of the best tailgates by having that old man step back there. It's integrated into the tailgate. You just pull it out. You got an old man bar, you can get up there, and again, if you're short like me, or if you're a little bit older, like me, it makes it so much easier to get into the back of the bed. With the split tailgate, you can't have that piece there, so they added a tiny little step next to the tow hitch, similar to the ones you used to see on the sides of the truck. I'm not a big fan of those little steps because for the most part, they pop out, especially if you're off-roading, and this is an off-road channel. Those just pop out randomly, and people are going down the trails with those just sticking out, and it being in the back, the chances of it popping out are even higher because how many times have you guys gone off-road and dragged that back hitch? I know I have more than once, dragged my tailpipes several times, so that little step we're going to see popping out of anybody that has an F-150 and is going off-road, and that thing's just sticking out. That split tailgate is not available on the Raptors. The Raptors still have their own unique tailgate, and it's the traditional tailgate with the old man step. That still remains. I don't know why they did that. I have a feeling that it has to do with off-roading. The way that bed moves, there's a lot of bed movement back there. Anybody that's off-roaded an F-150 or a Raptor knows that back end just moves a lot. So I'm guessing that's the reason why they didn't do the split tailgate on the Raptors. And if you saw a lot of the clips of the folks interact with the split tailgate, they all had a hard time opening it, right? They would hit the button and it wouldn't open, and they all had to kind of put a little bit of force just to get it to open. So I'm sure with off-roading, that's going to warp even worse, and it's going to be harder to open, which is not a good thing, right? And it's definitely not good to see that from launch, where everybody using the split tailgate had a hard time opening it on a brand new truck. It's only going to get worse the older that truck gets. For 2024, they also refreshed the headlights. The headlights are new and they are specific to the line you're getting. So like the STX has a version, Lariats have another version, Tremors have their own version, the Platinums and the Raptors, almost all the vehicles get white DRL planks, and anything that's off-road gets amber DRL planks. The Tremor and the Raptor both get amber DRL planks. I'm not a fan of the lights. I think they look weird, especially on the Raptor. It gives this Raptor like this weird bug-eyed look, and it doesn't look right. And if you look at the pictures, it has to do with the planks. The planks in the design of the light don't flow with the lines of the truck. It doesn't look right. There's no other lights following it. There's no other design cues following the lines of the planks. And it just looks bug-eyed. It looks alien to me. If you look at the Tremor though, I think that's the real standout. The Tremor is where that new headlight design really looks right. For the Tremor, they actually put the DRL right down the middle. So you have these two little amber strips down the middle, and it flows with the lines of the truck. The design cues of the new lights make sense in the way the Tremor grille is designed, because you have the ambers down the middle, you have a matching amber colored stripe down the middle of the grille. So it looks good. I think the Tremor was like the biggest surprise to me. That's the only truck out of all of them that looks great. The design cues flowed, the lights look good. I wish they would have done something similar like that for the Raptors. I think the Raptor, if it had maybe the flat plank DRLs with the projector lights, I think that would look better, and it would look better from the side profile, and it matches better with the lines of the truck. But that's my opinion. As far as I'm concerned, the new lights, the new grille design, the Gen 3 Raptor is still ugly. It's still a fugly little truck. I'm not a fan. I still think the Gen 2 is still probably the best looking, with the close second being the Gen 1. Now, another design change with the taillights. The taillights are, how do we put it? They look like cheap Chinese knockoffs. They do. I'm sorry, they do. They're reminiscent of the lights you saw on the Titan, which were really overdone on the Titan. They didn't look right. And they look like this on the F-150s too. And they look like cheap Chinese knockoffs. I mean, I've been in the process of trying to find LED taillights for this truck. I want to change them because those bulbs just pop out really easy, and the taillights on these are just known to have issues. I've been looking a lot on Amazon and all the places, and the lights look like a cheap Chinese knockoff. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of the styling. I think it looks cheap. I wish Ford would have gone a different direction. Another change is the Ford logo. Now this is a minor change, but it's an impactful one. The Ford logo is a little bit bigger. It has recessed lettering. There is an option to get a black package, so you can get a black logo, which I think is really cool. I've always hated the fact that the logo was always blue. I like the idea of a black logo, and now you can get it from the factory, which is really cool. They also changed the logo on the Gen 3. The Gen 3 Raptor now has a textured Ford logo across the whole grille, which to me is a huge improvement. When the Gen 3 first came out, the grille just looked cheap. It was super cheap. It was a flat logo. They kind of copied the same styling as the old trucks, and it didn't work. It looked cheap. And then when the Raptor R came out, they made the logo gloss, and it looked even cheaper. So to me, the new grille is definitely a big improvement. It's still cheap plastic, but having the logo textured is an improvement. It looks much better than before. It doesn't look so cheap as before. Another design change here was the F-150s now get these little fake vents on top of the hood, which is kind of cool. And the vents are kind of reminiscent of the Gen 1 vents. It's a similar styling to what you see on the Gen 1s, just a smaller version of it. And I like it. They're not functional, which kind of sucks, but it's a cool little design choice. The biggest news that's come out of the event has been dual live valves. Yes, we finally get dual live valves on the Raptor, a live valve on the compression and on the rebound, which is huge because these trucks have a lot of problems with rebound control. So being able to have dual live valves both front and back is just going to open up the possibilities of the truck even more. I can't wait to see what these trucks can do off-road, and I also can't wait to see what SDI can do with the dual live valve setup, because it's going to be pretty impressive. We don't know the full capabilities of it. There was quite a bit of clips of it on the trails, which looked pretty impressive. The truck was way more planted. In previous releases, we saw the back end bucking quite a bit. We didn't see that in a lot of the footage they released. We'll see how that turns out once the truck is released and we get to see it on the trails. To get the dual live valves, you do have to get the 37s package. So you can get dual live valves on both the regular EcoBoost Raptor or the Raptor R. You don't have to have the Raptor R to get the dual live valves. They're included with the 37s package, as well as a couple other items. You also get the black Recaro seats, exclusive on the Raptor R last year. You get the modular bumper, which is kind of weird, right? They said that it's included in that package. I even checked later. It is included in the package, but they don't show us what a regular Raptor bumper looks like, which is kind of odd. They only show the modular bumper. And then finally, Raptor now includes the automatic tailgate, which is huge news. I don't understand why nobody's covering this. It's big news because before, the automatic tailgate was tied to the sunroof. And if you off-road these trucks, you know sunroof is nothing but a liability. It's going to break, it's going to crack, it's going to have so many issues, and it's super expensive to replace. Having an off-road truck without a sunroof is awesome. I'm a big fan of the automatic tailgate, so being able to get it without the sunroof, it's a win. It's a win in my book. That's awesome. Now let's talk about that modular bumper. The modular bumper design is a little funky to me. It's great because you can add accessories to it, and the way that it's designed, it looks like you just pop off those covers and you put whatever accessories you want in there. And Ford has already designed a hitch mount, which is pretty cool. I think the other benefit of that not many people are talking about is it looks like the radar sensor has been relocated from that section of the bumper. So it looks like that's relocated to the grill somewhere. We didn't really see where it was. Nobody really opened up these hoods or really got a close look. So I don't know where the radar sensor went, but it's great to see that it's not in the bumper, so it's going to make upgrades easier for us down the road. The front bumper is shared between the Tremor and the Raptor. They both have the same exact bumper. You can get them optioned on both. The hitch mount that they designed was pretty cheap looking, and it was pretty ugly too, which considering how far it came out, right? There's a whole lot better aftermarket solutions that hide it behind the bumper, which are much better, so it's an odd design choice. It is all plate steel too, which if we know anything about Ford, the bumper plates are pretty thin, and if that plate steel is thin, I don't know how strong that's going to be. The benefit there though is that you can get a warm witch from the factory with the sensors and the cameras already reprogrammed to deal with that extra length up front. So it's a kind of cool little option for those that want something that's fully built in and supportable from the manufacturer. Us that off-road, I'm not a big fan of the new bumper design for two main reasons. One is that it's fatter. It's a little bit fatter, so it's longer. As it is a Gen 3 bumper and the front end is already much lower than it should be, and it's constantly nosediving and acting like a plow on the trails. The new bumper being a little bit fatter, it's got to be more of a plow on the trail. So I'm not a big fan of that new solution, and I can't wait to see what the aftermarket brings out. Bolt-on bumpers and frame cut bumpers to really give that front end the proper clearance. Ever since I put it on, it hasn't touched the ground. Whereas my Gen 2, I think, was always a plow on the trails. The tow hooks were always burying and causing marks everywhere, and it's worse on the Gen 3. Another big change is paint colors. The new color for 2024 is baby shit green. It is. It's this green metallic color. It's kind of nice, but I asked my wife, what do you think of it? She's like, it looks like baby shit. And it does. It really does. Mind you, if I were to spec a truck, I would either pick that color or the Avalanche Gray. Avalanche Gray is my favorite color. The other colors are pretty much meh. I mean, gone is the Zero Gray. We don't have Code Orange. We don't have like the Rapid Red anymore. There's no real bright colors anymore. Everything is very muted, and it's a small list. And the only colors that look good is Avalanche Gray and Baby Shit Green. I'm sorry, Shelter Green. And unfortunately, I know a lot of guys were waiting for this. Still no terrain. It's available on other versions of the trucks. I think the Mavericks have terrain, but still no terrain on the Raptors or on the F-150s, which sucks. I think that's a favorite, right? I love Avalanche. I almost bought a terrain Raptor. That was like my first choice when it came to the Gen 1. No option for that, which kind of sucks. Ford, if you watch this, which I know your lawyers do, can we get terrain back? Or maybe Cactus Gray. I love that green-gray color that's in the Broncos. Can we get that color on the Raptor? I would so jump on a Cactus Gray Raptor, big time. Another thing that's new for 2024 is the Raptor graphics. The base Raptor graphics are very muted. They're very subtle. They're not as bright or as flashy or as ripped up or whatever as they've done before. They weren't very subtle. But the Raptor R graphics are a big letdown. They weren't really that flashy before, but at least you could tell it was a Raptor R based on the big R in the back, the big red R. They kind of changed it a little bit, and it's boring. Good thing is you can delete them from the factory, which is great. It's included with the 30 cents package, unfortunately, but you have the option to delete it and not get those stupid graphics. And if I did it, I would order without the graphics to get my own made. Another change for the Raptor R is a V8 logo in the armrest. I thought that was kind of cool. They made it kind of like a little ghost logo with material in the background, right, with like that Code Orange color. I thought it was kind of cool. It's a nice little design touch, little Easter egg. Heads-up display. We finally get a heads-up display in the Raptor. I don't know why they took so long to do this. Heads-up displays are awesome. We have it on one of my wife's vehicles. I love it. It keeps your eyes on the road. Now, they didn't show too many pictures of how the heads-up display is going to work, but it'd be great to see what kind of options they are on there, and if it's integrated with any of the apps, so you can see the turn-by-turn navigations. How great would that be to be able to get your turn notifications and all that stuff from lead nav on a heads-up display? It would be awesome. And then finally, one of the more subtle announcements that they did was Ford's new stolen vehicle features. Basically, Ford Pass now will use sensors in the truck to monitor if the truck's being jacked up, like jacked up to remove a tire, or if it's moved or anything like that. And it'll notify you, hey, your truck's being moved or your truck's possibly being broken into. If you confirm that, yes, you're not there and it's not you, it'll disable the truck's ability to turn off location services. And if you confirm that it is, in fact, not you doing this, it'll actually automatically call law enforcement. So that's two bits of good news. One, they can't disable location services, which is a big deal for us because we don't, that's what was one of the most common things that happened once these vehicles were stolen, because for the most part, F-150s are easy to steal. Anything mass-produced, guys, it's easy to steal. Any car that's mass-produced, it's easy to steal. And unfortunately, the Raptor, maybe we should do that video one day. All you need is a pair of vice grips and you can get into any Raptor. It kind of sucks. It kind of blows. Okay, now let's talk about what's gone. Recaros in blue are gone, and I think a lot of you guys are saying good riddance. I kind of like the Recaros. I like the Gen 2 Recaros because they actually kept you in. The fabric allowed you to not slide as much. You do slide a lot when it comes to the leather seats on the Gen 2 and on the Gen 3. The Gen 1 seats weren't so bad because they had those fabric strips, so that kept you in the seat. So when they introduced Recaros, it was way more comfortable off-road, way less squirreling around. It was great. I loved it. The Gen 3 seats don't hug you as much, so the fabric was more important so that you wouldn't slide as much. So it's kind of great to see that it was changed to black because the blue color only really made sense on blue trucks. Halogen lights are gone. No more bulb lights on these trucks. Everything is converted to LED, which is pretty cool. It's great to see that. I've always hated to see companies go cheap on lights, and Ford has gone all LED, including the reflector ones. The 3.3 NA V6 is gone. That used to be the base engine. Now the base engine is the 2.7, which has more power. So now the F-150 technically has class-leading power. And then another change is limited trim is gone. Now we're going to have Platinum and a Platinum Plus version, which are priced very close to what a Raptor costs. That's it, guys. That's it as far as all the changes for the F-150s and the Raptors. Overall, I kind of wish that tailgate would have made it to the Raptor. I like the idea of the split tailgate so you can get the stuff. It would definitely change my rack design a bit, right? I would put the spare tires on the sides, put my toolbox there so I can just easily pop that open. So I don't have to worry about reaching in. I would have loved to see that. I get why they didn't, because off-road things break. That one's already difficult to open. I think the big surprise to me is the tremor. I really like the way the tremors look, and it's the only one of all the F-150s, including the Raptor, where the lights and the styling makes sense. It looks good. I almost think it might not be a bad idea to modify a tremor grill on the Gen 3 and put that on there with the tremor lights. I think it would look better. The tremor side really looked nice, man. It made me think twice until I saw the price, right? I fully looked. Tremor is like $77K. The good thing is the base engine is the 5.0. Right, but I think I would spec it with the hybrid. The hybrid power boost, you can get the option to get the 7.2 kilowatt battery, and that would be amazing for camping. The Tremor now becomes like a really great rig for overlanding and camping because you have this massive battery pack that you can tap into for tons of accessories and lights and all that stuff, or power your house. And it just kind of goes into that more focus of hybrids, right? The Ford made a big point of saying they're trying to focus on more hybrids. The one disappointment is why isn't there a power boost version of the Raptor? How great would it be to have the high output V6 with the hybrid making 500 horsepower or more, plus have the 7.2 kilowatt battery? It would be freaking awesome, and it would make the Raptor way more versatile, and it would be a nice go between the EcoBoost and the R, and I would prefer that. I would rather have the hybrid powertrain over the big V8, mainly because of what I could do camping with it. I would go a whole lot more places and not have to carry a extra battery for all the accessories. Now, as far as the Gen 3 is concerned, it's still ugly. The Gen 3 is fugly, guys, and nobody's going to convince me that. I said it from the launch. The new lights make it worse. The new grill's better. It doesn't look so cheap, but it's still an ugly truck. Nobody's ever going to change my mind on it. It's an ugly truck. And yes, guys, this is still a Gen 3. It's not a 3.5. It's not a Gen 4. It's still a Gen 3. It's just a mid-cycle refresh. It happened with the Gen 2. It happened with the Gen 1. Ford always does a mid-cycle refresh 2 or 3 years into every truck to keep the truck fresh because it's the best-selling vehicle in North America, and it's important to them to keep the sales and the interest up. Now, the last news that we got is that the Raptor R is supposed to get more power, but they didn't release the power numbers. There are new emission standards they had to meet for 2024, so that's why they didn't release the power numbers, because they're still going through that whole certification process. I think a lot of people are going to expect a big bump. I don't think so. I think Ford's going to be conservative. We may see a 5, 10, 15, 20 horsepower bump, and that's it. I don't think we'll see much. It's more of they have to recertify the engine because of the new standards, and since it's a V8, cafe standards don't like V8s no more. They want everybody to go more efficient, so power numbers won't be as high as you guys expect. Still no direct from factory ordering, so markups will be prevalent out there, so getting one will still be pretty difficult for the most of us. I wish I can get a Raptor R. I can afford it at sticker, but I can't afford it with the markups. No word yet from Ford on direct sales or any things they're doing to avoid that, so that's unfortunate. So I think most of us won't be able to get one. Unless you know somebody, you have a big business with a big commercial account. I think most of us will be outpriced by all the people that gotta get one. All right, guys. What do you guys think of the new truck? You guys like the styling? Do you guys like the change in? What do you think? They did a lot of simplification. I think a lot of it is for the good. It's a little bit bad. The trucks are still kind of ugly. But let me know what you guys think. Questions, comments below. Please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.